Welcome to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Families in Action is brought to you by your local hometown station, which we very much appreciate, and Action Family Counseling. Huh, Bob?
Yes, sir.
I'll let you talk a little bit about Action Family Counseling. Everybody knows about their local hometown station.
They do. Action Family Counseling is, we provide different levels of care for adolescents and adults, all the way from residential treatment to partial treatment to intensive outpatient. We also have support groups locally, and we do everything from detoxification. We're here talking about mental health today. We have attending physician on staff who can prescribe medication for mental health issues. So we are a dual diagnosis facility as well.
Exactly. You know, we're going to be talking about mental health, and we'll introduce Bob in a minute because there's two Bobs in here now. So now I'm really going to lose it. Hey, Bob, what?
We're going to be confused.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'll just go Bob, and you'll both have to look at me. But yeah, no, mental health. You know, I was thinking about it, and I was reading some of the stuff, and 1 out of every 4 kids, adolescents, suffer from some kind of mental health illness. 1 out of 10 kids, 1 out of 4 adults.
Yeah.
About 60 million Americans. And it's something that just isn't really talked about.
Right.
It's one of those things that is swept, as we know, underneath the carpet and all that wonderful stuff. And boy, you know, we see this every day. I mean, every day. Even with our substance abuse treatment programs, I would say at least 50% of the people that come to us have some kind of mental health illness too, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
And that number is pretty. I'm being low.
Well, and the other way around too is visits to the behavioral health unit.
Right.
Something like 50% of the admissions there also have co-occurring substance abuse disorders as well.
That's exactly right. I'm the executive director of the behavioral health unit at Henry Mayo, and yeah, I would say about 50% of people that come in there for other mental illnesses also suffer from some kind of substance abuse, and what they're doing, as we all know, they're
self-medicating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a way to cure themselves.
Exactly. So, Bob, introduce yourself. Tell us all about you. Instead of me reading all this stuff, I want to do that. Just keep
I'm Bob Bollert. I'm from the local Antelope Valley affiliate of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI has been around since about 1976. It started out as a group of mothers who were protesting the lack of treatment and care for schizophrenia.
How come it's always the mothers that start everything?
Well,
yeah, I was just thinking
Dad's
about
at work, and Mom's got to take care of the problem.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you what, moms get the shaft most of the time, don't they?
Well, that's one of the objects of the affiliate. One of our things is the family-to-family course, which is going to be offered shortly. We stress that the family has to keep themselves healthy so that they can, as caregivers, can take care of the person who's ill.
Right. And not to jump too far ahead, Bob, but you also have a personal invested interest,
yes,
personal story that we're going to ask you to talk a little bit about.
Well, I would get to that. We only got a minute before break. I don't want to stop you, but tell us a little bit about NAMI and what it means first, and then we'll get into your story.
Well, NAMI is a national organization. There's 1,200 affiliates like mine in Antelope Valley. I say like mine, I'm just a volunteer. We're all volunteers in NAMI. There's 72 affiliates in the state of California, and each affiliate has a group of programs, starting with the family-to-family program, which is a 12-week course for caregivers of those who are afflicted. We go through not only the nomenclature of the drugs that are used, the various steps in treatment, and the causes and effects, the symptoms, the signs, how to talk and communicate with someone who's ill, which is a big problem.
It surely is. Now, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to pick up right where we left off. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Rancho Camulos, Ventura County's first historical landmark, was a Mexican land grant awarded in 1839. History lives on at the 13-acre museum of Rancho Camulos. Take a tour highlighting the Rancho's operation under 3 generations of the Del Valles. Visit the birthplace of Ventura County's first working winery and learn about the mysterious history of Helen Hunt Jackson's Ramona. Visit ranchocamulos.org or call 805-521-1501 for information on tours, museum hours, and special events. Located off the 126 in Piru, Rancho Camulos, where hospitality calls home.
Are you ready for your close-up? You will be at Santa Clarita School of Performing Arts. We have classes for kids, teens, and adults in acting, modeling, improv, voiceover, singing, and recording. And Saturdays, you will have the chance to audition for some of LA's top agents. Everything you need to succeed in show business is here. Join our list of stars. Learn your craft at Santa Clarita School of Performing Arts.
The Donut Inn on Soledad Canyon Road has a new name, California Bakery and Cafe. You still get the donuts, hot chocolate, and fresh squeezed juices, the sandwiches, croissants, and our famous tamales. But you'll also get cakes for parties, celebrations, and major events. Our unique bread baskets offer a one-of-a-kind gift, all with the personal service you have come to expect for the last 35 years. Get a cup of coffee and a Danish 24 hours a day. California Bakery and Cafe.
Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHS. I'm Kerry Quashen. I'm along here with my co-host, Bob Sherris. Hey, Bob.
Hello.
Hey, and we also have Bob from NAMI here today.
We do.
Hello.
We do. Hey, Bob, let's go over some of these statistics. I'm sitting here reading these things, and it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, we have to understand there's about 60 million Americans, about 1 in 4, that experiences a mental health disorder in any given year. 2.4 million Americans, or 1.1% of the adult population, lives with schizophrenia. Bipolar disorder affects 5.7 million. Major depressive disorder affects 6.7 million, or 6.7% of adults, or about 14.8 million. So we have a wide range of mental health disorders, and we also have, unfortunately, a wide range of ability to get treatment. The more difficult mental health disorders, such as severe schizophrenia, bipolar, it's very difficult to get the ill person to treatment. So in fact, with schizophrenia, there's an 8.5-year gap between the time when they are deemed to be ill and the time when they eventually get treatment. And if they get treatment, then about 80% are able to live somewhat normal lives. I'm not saying they're going to become CEOs or work a steady job, but they will be somewhat contributing to society.
If they get treatment.
If they get treatment, but most of them unfortunately don't.
No, I'm just going to throw some things that I'm reading. I want to just talk about it for a minute. Individuals living with serious mental health face an increased risk of chronic medical conditions. Adults living with serious mental illness die 25 years earlier than other Americans, largely due to treatable medical conditions. As we were talking earlier, it's untreated.
Yeah, and when we start talking about the economic indirect cost of mental illness, it's estimated to be $79 billion. Wouldn't we like to take that out of the national deficit?
$79 billion.
Yeah. I mean, when we get into those numbers, it's hard to get your mind wrapped around them.
24% of state prisoners, 21% of local jail prisoners have recent history with mental health disorders. 70% of youth in juvenile justice systems have at least one mental disorder, and at least 20% experience significant just crisis stuff with mental health. Isn't that crazy?
Well, think of it, the largest psychiatric facility in the United States today is the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Twin Towers facility.
Yep. Isn't that something? Right here in Los Angeles, California. Yes, it is.
It is.
And what kind of treatment are they getting?
Well, they don't have the facilities, or they don't have the employees to do the treatment for the quantity of ill people that they have incarcerated. They just can't handle it.
And then we go over these numbers. Suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States, and the 3rd leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 24 years age.
Yeah.
10 to 24.
3rd leading cause? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
more than 90% of those who die by suicide have a diagnosis of mental disorder.
Yeah.
And we were talking about untreated stuff earlier.
Right.
Tell us your story, though.
Well, my story begins, I have two daughters, one of which, my oldest, at 15, that's when I first realized there was a mental health issue. I was going along swimmingly, working and having a nice family, and the wife called me up and said, your daughter just took 2 bottles of Tylenol. Having worked in the law enforcement profession, I have had many instances in which Tylenol is used as a method of suicide, and it was always quite successful.
Yes.
And so my immediate shock was that, oh my God, I've just lost my daughter. And fortunately, we were able to get her to medical care early enough so that miraculously she survived without permanent damage.
And she was surely lucky. I've been in this field for 30 years, and I'll tell you the amount of kids, not just kids, but people I've seen lose their life from Tylenol.
Yeah, Tylenol is terrible. It eats right through the stomach, and then you've got a septic situation. And at any rate, so now we're scrambling around, what do we do? Where do we go? And, you get up on the internet and you look around and you try to, flail around. Because you don't start out with a knowledge about mental illness. This necessity drives the...
You don't even think about it till it hits you.
No.
Until that phone call comes.
That's right. And what a day that was. And so then I reached out...
I bet you that's a day you'll never forget.
Yeah, because I almost lost her.
Yeah.
So, to me, that was a very significant wake-up to... what do I do? So I ran into NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, went to a support meeting. They give support meetings twice a week up at Antelope Valley, and from there we were offered an opportunity to take the free course of Family to Family, which is a free course for caregivers and family members of those who are afflicted with any mental illness. And that's 12 weeks for an hour and a half a week, and it deals with how to talk with the ill person, how to deal with the medical field, because they have HIPAA regulations and they have other requirements that they have to work around, how to deal with the various medications and the fact that the medications don't necessarily stay effective, have to be changed, and each time you have a change, you have a problem trying to get the ill person to understand. Then there's side effects from the medication. So it just goes on.
The list goes on and on
Yeah.
and on. It starts with how to talk. Let's pick this apart, like you said, how to talk to somebody with mental illness. Hey, you know what, get over it. Life's better.
That's unfortunately the general, especially for the father. It's get over it, get it done, and we'll move on. It doesn't work.
Right.
It does not work.
Yeah, and especially for men, right? We want to just fix it.
Well, especially
We want to think we can fix it,
right?
okay?
Yeah, I mean, we go into the garage and in 10 minutes it's fixed and that's the end of it.
Right.
So, the whole problem is with my daughter is she had a teacher for a mother and a cop for a father.
Right.
So poor her to begin with. And then...
Yeah, she already had a headache.
already got a tough time. So then, you try to understand it. And you can't just tell her, hey, straighten up, fly right. No, that's not going to work.
In fact, that's one of the worst things
Exactly,
you can say. Get
yeah.
over it, life's good.
Yeah.
Look what you got.
Yeah, because she's in a panic. Her anxiety's high. She's flailing herself trying to understand the disease and understand what's going on. Obviously, because the brain has been damaged, there is a difficulty in just communicating to others what the symptoms and signs are.
And we'll talk about that when we come back from break. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
911, what's your emergency?
My neighbor's dog is barking way too loud.
There's a car that's been parked outside of my house for 3 days.
Yeah, do you guys have the number to the courthouse?
Yeah, my cat is stuck in a tree. Can you send someone to help, please?
Every year, an estimated 240 million calls are made to 911. Most are non-emergencies. Don't dial 911 if you are not having a life or death emergency. 911 is there for emergencies. Make sure it's there for others.
There's something you should know about me. I'm cold. I'm calculating. I get what I want. If you get in my way, I'll wreak havoc upon you. I can leave you weak, limp, twisted, confused. If you want to live to see tomorrow, you answer to me, and you answer quickly. I am a stroke.
Learn to recognize a stroke and act quickly. Time lost is brain lost.
Passing gas in the presence of others is not only inappropriate,
That is so foul.
it can be deadly. Passing gas releases a fog of carbon monoxide
Grandpa!
and other poisonous fumes that can contribute to asthma and pneumonia.
You're killing us over here.
Kids shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke. Don't pass gas. Take it outside.
Welcome back to Families in Action, brought to you by your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm here with our host, Carrie Quashin, and myself, and Robert Bollert, but we're calling him Bob today.
Just to confuse everybody. Hey, Bob. I'm just going to throw something out just because I want to. Over 50% of students with a mental illness disorder. Now, we already said 1 in 10 kids have one.
Right.
So over 50% of those age 14 and older drop out of school. The highest dropout rate of any disability group, 15.
Yeah. The second largest reason for death among 10 to 24-year-olds, I think Gary spoke about it,
Yes,
was
the
suicide. Second highest reason for them to die is suicide.
And I'm listening.
But the reason I'm saying that, Bob, is because parents wake up.
Right.
It's not one of those we were saying a few minutes ago, hey, get over it, man. It's like, life's good.
Right.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah, and you start out, obviously most people, go to work every day. They have their expertise in their field of work, perhaps, maybe a couple other areas, but very few have expertise in mental illness. And this is suddenly thrust upon you when, as I did, I had a daughter who was suddenly diagnosed as bipolar. And what the heck is that? And how the heck do I deal with it? And of course, Dad's idea is, we'll just go in the garage and we'll put a few screws together and it'll all be fixed because Dad wants it fixed in 5 minutes or less. Right. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. In fact, we've gone through 17 years of still struggling with the illness as April, my daughter, has, because it is an ever-changing illness. You start with a series of medications, and it's a guess by the medical staff as to what generally will work with this population, and it may work, it may not. So you then, if this doesn't work, you try another one. A lot of these medications have pretty heavy-duty side effects. Sometimes the patient, especially if it's a young person, I can't take these side effects. I can't take this medication. I won't take this medication. So now what do? Well, you find something else. And then you have periods of, I'm fine. I've taken the medication and now I'm normal.
I feel better.
That's right. I'm fixed. Except, unfortunately, you're not. As soon as you go off medication, it's a gradual degradation in your ability to participate in society.
And I've seen, how many parents I've seen that has problems, the kids are bipolar, AD, go on and down the list. They take them to a psychiatrist, they get them on meds, they start doing okay. Then the parents, guess what they want to do?
Same thing.
They want to pull them off the meds.
Right, same thing.
And we got to remember, we as parents, we're parents, we are not doctors. For a parent to pretend and play doctor is a very bad mistake, especially when we look at the suicide and death rates of kids that have this disease.
Well, nobody wants to say, you don't go into the cocktail party and say, my daughter is bipolar, and we're struggling with that. There's a stigma attached, unfortunately, still to this day.
I think it's getting better.
It is, but it's there still.
But it's still there, and it always will be.
Well, it's a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of understanding of mental illness, the fact that it's a permanent disability. There is no cure. However, 80% of those who have mental illness are able to, after medication and counseling and treatment, they're able to function fairly normally. Not all of them, like I said before, become CEOs, but they're able to function well enough within society so that they fit in.
But one thing you said that I want to go back to, well, a lot of things you said, but one thing that I really want to talk about is I know so many people go to therapy, not therapy, you go to a doctor and say, give me a pill. Mm-hmm. Fix me.
Yeah, as if it was
Fix my
that
kid,
simple.
give her a pill.
Right.
And they do.
Be done with it because I've got a meeting to go to and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah.
Medication alone is not the answer.
No.
No, and you touched on that earlier, the medications will lose their effectiveness, and sometimes you have to change the medication. But in conjunction with therapeutic methods, is the best option. Yes, for sure.
I mean, I have a 32-year-old daughter now, not the 15-year-old that we started with, and she takes her medication regularly, and she goes to counseling, therapeutic counseling. And she's, persistent about it because she's at a point now where she understands the need for it. But trying to convince a 15-year-old who has obviously not even a fully developed brain yet, let alone a damaged brain from bipolar, is very difficult. And it's also difficult, of course, for the parents because of lack of knowledge.
Well, it's just like anything else. You don't do an intervention on a 14-year-old. Or a 15-year-old, as you would do with an adult.
Right.
An adult, you bring them in a room, you bring everyone who loves them, and you emotionally push them into
Well, that's
whatever.
actually the saving grace for those up to 18 because you can tell them.
Exactly.
You can force them, you're going to the doctor, you're going to this treatment facility, whatever.
So saying, honey, you have a problem, I want you to go to counseling. No, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Okay, I was at a group one time, right?
Yeah.
And listen to this. There's a 12-year-old girl that's taking over-the-counter medications to get high. She's drinking alcohol to an excess. She's even used crystal meth. All the parents in this room, and she's obviously got other emotional issues that aren't untreated.
She's self-medicating.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm listening to the group. They're all saying the same thing. She's self-medicating. She's 12. Get her some help. We want you to go into this outpatient. I was going to set it up. Fine, they agreed. At the end of the group, they're fighting, the mom and the dad. I bet you somebody can guess what they're fighting about. I walked up, I said, what's the deal? They said, we can't force her to go.
Oh, really? Yes, you can.
I wanted to throw up.
Yeah, well,
You
it's
can't,
ignorance.
what?
Yeah.
She's 12. Throw her over your shoulder and take her there.
I can't tell you how many times we've, in our meetings, our share and care meetings, we've come across parents that come in and they're desperate. The kid is 17, he's almost 18. What do we do? Well, you've only got a year left. You better get right on it because this is it. If you don't get it straightened out by 18, they'll do whatever the heck they want.
Exactly. And there's not much you can do to force the issue. Or you could threaten to throw them out and stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's limited success with that. And the sad thing is, once they hit 18, they still don't understand the illness. They don't understand how to treat the illness.
Well, again, their brain's not even developed yet.
No.
And they're they have other issues going on anyway.
You got hormonal issues and everything else going on.
What a mess. On that note, hey, Bob, is it time?
It is time. Let's take a break.
Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHCS. Don't go anywhere.
Good nutrition can lead to great things. Find out how a healthy lifestyle can help your child succeed.
What the heck is this thing?
Back fat. Someone must have lost it eating the smaller sized popcorn.
Give me that.
Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, Bob, we're pretty lucky to have Bob from NAMI here today.
We are.
This is some great information.
I'm sitting back here listening to the numbers and grasping, and you mentioned something earlier about kids dropping out of school with mental illness, and it just sort of hit me, the the ripple effect of having a mental illness in all areas of one's lives, and how we're, despite all that and how obvious it is and the numbers that we listen to, we're still all afraid to talk. Well, I don't know that we are in this room because here we are, but generally speaking, right, with the stigma, people are afraid to talk about it, like you said. So the fact that we're here today listening to these numbers and have such an awesome guest is really cool. It's really cool because we're putting it out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I said, it started with a firsthand, what do I do?
Yeah.
And went from that to trying to learn about it. And once we took, like I say, once we took the family to family course, then we found that so helpful that within 2 weeks we were signed up to take the courses to be instructors for family to family. Then that, I say we, my wife and I.
Well, look, you have a teacher and a cop, okay?
Right.
Well,
of course.
We were so passionate about the amount of help we got from family to family because we just didn't know how to even communicate. I mean, you can't be telling mentally ill people of whatever age, but especially a teenager, you do this.
Right.
It's none of this you stuff. You take you right out of your vocabulary. You start, when they go off on a tangent, you just repeat to them, for one thing, what they're saying so that they have a sense that they're communicating with you, that there's somebody listening, because one of the big problems they have is they're frustrated over the lack of understanding of what they're going through.
Right. Yeah. Just real quick for clarification, when you say family to family support groups, these are other families who are going through or have been through the same thing that you're going through, sharing their experience with each other, correct?
Right. Once you join NAMI, which you can for a nominal fee to become a member, and actually anyone who's interested in going to the course is free to anyone. But if you want to become an instructor, then you join NAMI. You go to the schooling so you can become an instructor in family to family, and that's what we did. And then from there we got more involved with the local affiliate. So now the wife is president of the local affiliate, and I've been treasurer, secretary, and now I am a sergeant at arms.
What is that? What does that mean?
I keep order at the meeting as if there's necessary need for any order at the meeting, but it's you become very passionate about it because you realize there's so little information about it. I mean, you don't, like I say, you don't go to the country club and say, hey, my daughter's got bipolar. That's not exactly
right. And I'm right in the midst of it, especially with the mental, the behavioral health unit that I run. I mean, the parents call and the family calls, and they're all so lost.
Right.
I mean, they have no clue on how to deal with it.
And they're frustrated, and the person,
angry, frustrated, depressed, sad, scared.
And then you have the person with the disease who is flailing around, absolutely confused, and it's very hard for them to come to grips with the fact that they have an illness.
Right. And like we said earlier, as soon as they start feeling better, they're better.
Yeah. So why are you making me take this stuff when I'm fine?
Right. Exactly.
And medication non-compliance is one of the biggest issues that's faced in any mental health issue, is for several reasons. The side effects. I'm feeling better now. Why do I need to take my medication?
I got my own drugs that'll take care of this.
And the self-medicating behavior and the mixture of, we see a lot of problems in our treatment facilities, people mixing illegal substances with their medications or just dropping off their medications because they go on a...
And I hear it all the time. Medication doesn't work. Of course not. They're using other drugs at the same time. It's counteracting what's supposed to
further complicates the situation.
It further complicates everything.
Yeah, because now you've got an addiction perhaps to alcohol or some other drug on top of you're trying to provide psychiatric medication.
So you gotta kick the addiction out of the box before anything will work.
It's that what we call co-occurring disorders, where you've got to work on both things at the same time. You're having a heck of a time just working on one.
Right, exactly. That's why in action in our drug rehab, we have everybody sees the psychiatrist. They're addressed all issues. If there's other issues, we address that, and they're put on the right meds. Or anyways, we attempt to get them on the right meds, like you were saying earlier.
Working in law enforcement, how many times did I pick somebody up and take them to the hospital, turn them over to the doctor under the 5150 of the Welfare Institutions Code, which says I can take somebody who's gravely disabled, and and hand them over to the doctor. Okay, well, the doctor is going to be able to treat for 72 hours. In 72 hours,
and on,
you can't
on
get
rare cases, we can extend that to 14
That's right.
hours.
But generally, it's very difficult to get a judge because you have to go to a judge.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, actually, what happens with a 14-day hold, they come to the hospital and we do a hearing right there. If it goes further than that, then yes.
Yeah, the next after 14, I guess, is 21?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then it goes on there. But you wanted to talk a little bit about the criminal justice system anyway, so let's get there.
Yeah, so many times it was a revolving door when I was at work, because you'd bring them in for 3 days, the doctor would treat them, he'd start them on medication, he'd give them a shower, get them shaved, get them some decent clothing, and by, if I brought them in on a Sunday, on a Wednesday, there they are again. And they look pretty good, and they're saying, hi, I remember you, officer, and blah, blah, blah. And you're thinking, wow, he's on the straight and narrow. I don't have to worry about him anymore. And comes Friday or Saturday, there he is in the alley, filthy. Obviously hasn't eaten, hasn't bathed, hasn't provided himself with adequate shelter, hasn't been taking his meds. And here we go again. Scoop him up, take him back to the hospital.
Hasn't been taking his meds.
Yeah. Yeah, and because, hey, on Wednesday, he was feeling great. He had new clothes, he had a shave, he was clean for, first time in several months, and and then by Saturday, he's back to square one again, and I pick him up, take him back to the doctor, and we start this circle all over again.
And regarding the criminal justice system, you made a statement earlier, which is, I heard it very loudly, was the largest mental health treatment facility I would say in the world, right?
Probably
is
so.
Is the Los Angeles County Jail downtown. They treat more people with mental health issues than anyone else.
Yeah, and they try their best, but they don't have the staff. They don't have the facilities to treat mental illness. They're not a mental health hospital. They do their best, and of course, the deputies don't get a whole lot of training on mental illness.
No, they're thrown right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, I mean, you show up working a module in the beginning, and you're in a little cage and pushing buttons to open doors so they can go see the doctor or the lawyer or they go make a phone call or whatever they're doing. So, and I of course, long ago when dinosaurs roamed is when I went through the academy, and at that time I think we spent 2 hours on mental illness.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Out of 6 months.
Yeah. And they throw you out on the streets and say, go deal with them.
Yeah, now you don't get 6 months. You get maybe 17 weeks.
Yeah, and how many hours? 2?
Yeah.
Probably 2. Maybe 3
if
now. They
you're
might
lucky.
have upped it.
Yeah, they might have upped it, yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, when you go out on the field, you need to know and understand how to deal with people with mental illness.
And I'll tell you, we get a lot of deputies that put them on holds because they don't know what else to do with them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on the streets, they're shooting dope, if they're whatever the reason is.
Right.
And
But they're not any longer part of the rational society.
Exactly.
And they cannot take care of themselves.
And one of the things that's helpful for...
I want to say one more thing before you do that. It's not a moral issue either.
No.
It's one of those kind of...
It's a medical issue.
Thank you.
And it's a medical issue that's not being attacked because twice as many people have mental illness as have HIV/AIDS. But where, not that there's not a reason to treat those with HIV or AIDS, but the understanding of the community as to the significance of the mental illness problem, especially among the young. Because when you have a 15-year-old or a 10-year-old or whatever who comes down with ADHD or something else, this is the time you have to act, not 8.5 years later, which is the average length of time before a schizophrenic gets treated.
And we're telling parents that all the time in our groups, because we have support groups all over the place, and we're saying the same thing. Treat them now. If you don't and they hit 18, boy, your headaches are going to get a whole lot different.
And you've got to suddenly jump up and start running.
Fast.
To get to speed.
Right, and I hear parents all the time, I don't want to overreact. The only thing you can really do is underreact. On that note, let's take a break. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Did you know the first gold in California was discovered right here in the Santa Cruz Valley, long before Sutter's Mill? Did you know our valley was the birthplace of the California oil industry? Did you know that when Los Angeles joined the rest of the country by rail, the tracks came together in Santa Clarita? You might know we're a popular location for filming, but did you know we always have been? Learn all about Santa Clarita's fascinating history at scvhistory.com or visit the Saugus Train Station Museum in Old Town Newhall, weekends 1 to 4.
Hi, I'm Corey Peck, principal of West Creek Academy in Valencia, and you're watching SCV TV, local television for Santa Clarita.
Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHCS. Hey, Bob. Bob's great, isn't he?
He is great. I'm glad we have him here today.
Well, I'm just saying, I've been running parent and teen support groups now for 30 years. It started as Tough Love back in those days, and then it was Action, which it still is. Mm-hmm. And I have a passion for it. That's why I do this, and I can actually feel your passion.
Well, it started obviously from a selfish need to understand my daughter. But from that, we have support group meetings, and people come in just as desperate as I was years ago. What do I do? Johnny's living out on the front lawn, thinks, that the bad guys coming from the stones in the lawn are going to hurt him. I mean, this is perennial. It's repetitively. They come and you have a child or an adult, a neighbor, a friend, whatever, who's ill and needs treatment, and how do you get them to treatment? Again, the problem is after 18, you can't order them around.
It's a little more difficult.
It's a good bit. And of course, a lot of those people are so ill that noncompliance is the general rule of the day because they don't understand what's going on. And so then you get into the problems that you two deal with where, okay, I'm ill, but I can fix myself with alcohol, or I can fix myself with crystal meth or whatever, and now I'm going to be fine. And all they've done is just double down the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the problem is it's hard to treat anything. It was hard to treat mental health when you're using crystal meth or anything. First of all, you can't even diagnose it because crystal meth has the same thing as psychosis. It looks the same. Right. Especially if they don't sleep.
You got the meth user mowing the lawn at 3 in the morning who thinks it's perfectly normal. And
covering all the rooms, thinking the spider's coming out of walls and things are implanted in their ears.
Or the LSD user with the trips. And, you're just making a nightmare out of any ability to cope and treat this disease.
So you got to get them off the drugs first, then you can treat the mental health. But I'll tell you, if you don't focus on the mental health issues when they're young, it's surely going to expand later. Not only in mental health, but in substance abuse and all kinds of other issues.
Right. I mean, that's what we keep telling the people with children is now is when you've got to do something.
I don't want to take my kid to a doctor. They're going to put him on meds.
Yes, but it'll help, and they'll get better.
That's what people have to understand.
That's the whole problem. Is
they're so afraid of that.
You can't think that you can just shove this into a back room and ignore it. Or Johnny's just a little bit different than everyone else. He has artistic tendencies or something. No, my daughter's artistic. I do find that many of the mentally ill have high intelligence.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And that old wives' thing about the fine line between insanity and genius, I think, is very true because many of the mentally ill that I run across have high intelligence, but they're severely debilitated by the illness.
Right, and that's at most times not treated.
Right, unfortunately. A lot of parents try to, minimize the disorders that their child is experiencing. Well, he's, artistic. Well, he's kind of a loner. He's kind of a lone wolf, blah, blah, blah. But that's the desperate time when you have to knuckle down and get him into a program, get him into treatment, him or her, and get them the medication, get them the counseling so they can begin to cope with the illness themselves because they're flailing around. They don't know what's going on.
And don't be afraid to get them some help either. That fear keeps you helpless, hopeless, and stuck.
Yeah, and forget about the stigma. You've got, of course, we work to try to get rid of the stigma, and we've gone a long ways, but you still, the poor guy walking on crutches with a leg in the cast, if he goes up to the grocery store, everybody's opening doors for him, everybody's saying, how can I help you, and blah, blah, blah. The guy coming up with schizophrenia who's looking around as, paranoid because he's scared to death, they shun him. They don't want to be anywhere near him.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. One time I went to, just got to tell the story because I'll never forget this guy. And I deal with a lot of people, but I was at Cold Stones, and the guy walked in, and you could just see he was obviously had some issues, and they started screaming at him, "Get out of here! Get out of here!" I don't think he ever was there. So I said, "Wait a minute, we don't talk to people like that around here." I said, "What do you want?" And the guy says, "I want an ice cream." I said, "Give him an ice cream." And they went, "What?" I said, "I'll pay for it." And he looked at it, he says, "What can I have?" I said, "You can have anything you want." And I said, "And get it for him kindly, please." And he says, "Can I have a little this, a little?" I said, "Just keep adding." He ended up with a thing about about 6 inches deep.
But the guy's paranoid to begin with. He's confused. He's scared to death, and now they're screaming at him.
I went back. Where I'm going is I went back a few months later because it was in Glendale where I run a group, and I saw the guy on the streets, and he went, "Hey," and he still obviously was.
He looked at ice cream.
No, he didn't ask for anything. He just came up and said, "You bought me an ice cream." It took him about a minute to say that because he went around the block. He said, "I just wanted to say thanks."
Yeah, they appreciate it.
They're people too.
Right. Yeah, they have feelings.
They have feelings, exactly.
And you have to not only respect their feelings and their concerns, but learn how to talk to them. This screaming stuff, is just right. Throw it right out the window.
Yeah, you don't want to.
You're not getting anywhere doing that.
No, and you don't want to treat people like
that. You wouldn't scream at a normal person.
No.
Get in a grocery line, somebody gets in front of you, you go scream at them. That's crazy.
Right. On that note, Bob, it's time. Let's go ahead and take a break. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Hi, I'm John Dean with Dean Safe Company. For the last 4 decades, the first 10 people I talk to every morning have just been robbed or burglarized. I'm here to help. We have the largest selection of safes on the West Coast. We carry gun safes, pistol safes, burglary safes, fire safes, safes of all types designed for home and office. We will help you protect your valuables from fire and theft. We offer professional, discreet delivery. See it all on our website or give us a call, deansafe.com.
Escape reality at the Ivy Day Spa in Valencia. Relax your mind in our tranquil solarium. Unwind during your VIP massage. Rejuvenate with advanced diamond tip microdermabrasion or choose from a variety of facial treatments. For a unique spa experience, visit the Grotto where you'll enjoy a full body exfoliating scrub in an exotic setting. Schedule your escape today and receive a 50% discount on a VIP Grotto experience with your next full service treatment at the Ivy Day Spa in Valencia.
When I grow up, I want to help animals. When I grow up, I want to help animals. When I grow up, I want to help animals.
Welcome back to Families in Action, brought to you by your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Bob Sheritz with our co-host, Carrie Quashen, and we have an incredible guest today here, Mr. Robert, don't want to get it wrong, Bullard.
Bullard's close enough.
There you go.
Anything as long as you don't call me late for supper.
There you go. Well, it's lunchtime anyway. So
yeah, late for lunch, whatever.
So we have a few minutes left here, Bob. Do you want to give us some resources? Tell us about anything else that we may have not had time for.
I want to make sure I get this out. I don't wait till the last minute and then not have enough time. But our office in Antelope Valley is 45111 Fern Ave, Suite 21, Lancaster.
Say that again.
It's 45111 Fern Ave, Suite 21, Lancaster, California, 93534. Now, all our meetings are held at the Low Tree Wellness Home, at 1038 West Avenue J5 in Lancaster, California, 93534. And I don't think you're going to memorize all that. So call the number 661-341-8041. 661-341-8041. Our Board of Directors meeting is the first Monday of every month. We have a share and care support group the second and fourth Mondays of every month, and then the general meeting, in which we try to bring in speakers, is every third Monday. The website you can go to is www.nami.org. That's the national site, and if you want to go to our site, it's /sites, S-I-T-E-S, /NAMI, N-A-M-I-AV for Antelope Valley.
And if you missed this show, we're not leaving yet, but if you missed this show, you can always go to hometownstation.com. What is it, tomorrow?
The audio will be up tomorrow.
The audio will be up tomorrow, and you can download it. Just go to hometownstation.com, go to Families in Action, and today's date, and you will be able to download this whole show. You can also, if you're living in Santa Clarita, you can watch it on SCV TV on Channel 20 every Monday at 4 p.m. And Bob, I'll tell you, pretty good stuff going on over there in Palmdale with NAMI, huh?
Well, you know, it's something that the local affiliate really didn't get heavily into it for just until the last 5 years, and we started getting more and more people that are teaching the family to family. I do want to mention that the next family to family class, which is what stopped me from flailing around and impressed me so much that 2 weeks later I went and got the training to be an instructor. And that next family to family, at least in the Antelope Valley, is Tuesday, August 28th at the Discovery Resource Center, 1609 East Palmdale Boulevard, Suite G. And that's Palmdale, California. Now the family to family runs from 7 to 9:30, one night a week for 12 weeks. If you need more information, you can talk to our educational coordinator, Jean Harris. Her number is 661-370-1234.
And is that one of those things you can join anytime, or do you have to start at a beginning?
We don't allow people to come in after the third meeting.
Gotcha.
Because it's just too intense. There's too much covered.
Too much stuff.
We're trying to fit in about 3 weeks worth of material, 40 hours a day, into 12 hour-and-a-half sessions. Right. And there's a tremendous amount of resources we give them. You'll end up with a 3-ring binder that's about 2.5 inches thick of stuff that we've given you. There's homework. The homework is basically reading the handouts and basically learning. It's an educational process. People don't just happen to understand this in high school. There's no courses in college unless you're into psychiatry.
Well, it's like you said, just to even a police officer gets 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was on the job training. That was,
That's the best training there is, really.
Yeah, I mean, you learn from the old guys. This is what you do.
That's it. What, Bob? You ready to say something?
Well, no, it's such a big topic. It's hard to. It's hard to sit here in an hour and really get a grasp for the.
Well, that's why we're going to have him back.
The severity of it. We definitely need to have you back, Bob.
That's whenever you want. Fine. I don't usually get to talk to this large of an audience, so I'm very happy to be here. I thank you very much.
You know what? Again, we got about 2 minutes. Give us some of those numbers again, just so we have it.
Okay. Well, basically, you've got the general number for NAMI Antelope Valley, which is 661-341-8041. And of course, there's an email of nami-av@nami-av.org, or you can go up on the web at www.nami.org. That's the national site. There's a state of California site, and then of course there's the AV affiliate site. Once again, our meetings all of our monthly meetings are held at Low Tree Wellness Home at 1038 West Avenue J5, Lancaster, California. Our office is at 45111 Fern Ave, Suite 21, Lancaster, California.
And the worst thing you can do, guys, is not show up.
That's right. And it's all free. All of this education is free. We don't charge a dime. We're all volunteer organization. We'd be
Get
happy
up
to
and
assist.
get out there and
Yeah.
find out what you're dealing with and get the support that you need. You do not have to do this alone or uneducated. We're going to have to close now. I want to thank Bob from NAMI for being here. We very much appreciate. We will have you back. And the next show we have is Alex Urbina's Life Leadership. You do not want to miss Alex's show, do you, Bob?
No, you don't. Alex is great.
Isn't he?
He is.
So it's a show you don't want to miss. And until next week, this is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.